So today we're going to do a continuation of the AI card series, just because I just felt like it. And someone commented, I'll try to remember to put your name up here, that we should do devotion cards this time, which I thought would be a really interesting idea, because it should give us an idea of what ChatGPT thinks about each faction and their synergies and what would be their new devotion card. So we have the tier list, we have the tiers broken beyond belief. I think we'll just throw up quickly one of these cards in here, just to give you an idea of what we're working with for these tiers. So this is one of the broken beyond belief cards. These are not the cards we're reviewing today, just for a comparison. Obviously this is ridiculous. Draw a special from your deck as a neutral boost self. Obviously that's completely broken. Then we have the broken tier, which are cards that are just broken, that don't actually just end the game instantly. So things like Imperator Janus here from before. Move a unit to the opposite row and damage it. Yeah, that's just a free seize on deploy. That's also broken, but it's not as crazy as these things. Then we have the excellent tier, things like this Force Tracker. Look at the top 3 of your deck. You may move one to the bottom. If you move to special, boost self by its provision cost. Really high tempo, like it's really good value, really strong card, but doesn't break the game as much, I suppose. Then we have the good cards. These are cards that are actually like probably solid and playable. Things like this, 6 for 6, damage you by 2. It's damage repeat it once. That's fair. Things that could actually be in the game. Then we have the playable tier where things can be used. So for example, this one here, the Venomous Web Reaver. Spawn a web on the opponent's row. When a unit enters the row, damage it by 1. That's fine. It's a row effect, control. Monsters that have too much movement. Shouldn't be too hard to trigger, but then again, it does like annoy the opponent. Like that's probably playable. And then we have cards that are just bad. Things like Market, Black Market Smuggler. Deploy, gain 2 coins. If you control another human, gain 2 coins. It's not worth it. Like, it's just bad. Beggar's better. And then we have the meme tier, which so far just has Shield Wall Defender in it. It's a 5 or 7 that boosts by 2 and can give a shield. So, those are the tiers we're working with. I thought we'd just show some of these to give you an idea. Broken beyond belief, they have to be ridiculous. Like, just break the game completely. And broken tier, like, they're broken, but, you know. So those are the tiers we're working with. Let's get in with the first card. We're going to go Devotion. We went with, well, whatever order we went with. We'll see what we've got first. So Ancient Lesson here is the first one. 6 for 10. Reasonable stat line. 6 power. We used the Woodland Spirit here art for this one instead of making AI generated art. This is the only one we did that for, and that's just because we couldn't get the AI to generate a Lesson picture. I don't know why. It might be the skulls, might be the trees. I just wanted to make trees and like woodland shrines and stuff. So anyway, it wouldn't give me this. We just use this art for this one. So 6 for 10. Relic. Deploy, damage all units in the opposite row by 1. And Devotion, damage all units in the opposite row by 2 instead. Very straightforward. Monsters not known too much for their row effects or damage. Although they do actually know what they do have Werecat. Werecat is very similar. It does 1, then it does 1 again. This is on deploy. It could be pretty good value. It is a relic. And the flavor text, Ancient as the Force. It judges all trespassers harshly. Alright, so also working with Ancient Lesson. Before we get into our analysis and go on to the tier list, let's just see what the ChatGPT had to say about it. They said that Ancient Lesson fits the monsters faction focus on row damage and control. I guess at Werecat, kind of. And then Devotion ability significantly amplifies its damaging effect, doubles it, making a powerful tool for disrupting enemy strategies. The card's power and provision costs balances potent deploy effect, ensuring it's a formidable card, but fair. Tin Boy damages everything on the opposite row by 2, I believe, and he's a 4 for 12. So this is like, it's better than Tin Boy without his tribute. Tin Boy doesn't see play. Kind of similar idea. Originally damaged cards. Oh, this is in the bottom paragraphs of my notes of when I made the card. And ChatGPT, if I had to ask any like refinements or something, if it meant something different, I put it here. So originally it's damaged cards on the same row. I asked it if that meant to damage your own cards on Ancient Lessons row or the opponent's cards on the same row. So if it meant to damage all the opponents, like all the melee cards or ranged cards, versus if you want to damage everything on the Ancient Lessons row. And it chose to adjust it to the form we have right now, which is the opponent's, the opposite row. So that was the one thing we had to ask for this one. And that's the card. So, Ancient Lesson, where's it fit? It's 6 for 10. Has good effect. It does just good value. I think this is not. I think this is just a good card. Like, if this was in the game, would I play a 6 that probably did, if I'm playing Devotion, probably do 6 damage? Yeah, I think this is actually good. Like, I think this could be in the game. Probably. It'd just be another option for relics that isn't in Golden Necker. So I think this is actually just like a good, solid design. Probably would be fine. Probably good. It gets some good value about that. You're in Devotion, playing like White Frost, for example. Sometimes you play Unseen Elder just because Devotion gets good value. I think this could fit in there. So I think it's probably a good one. Let's move on to the next one then. We have the Elven Vanguard. So, Elf Soldier, 4 power, 5 provisions. Deploy, gain vitality 3. Little weird, the elves gain vitality, usually it's Dryad stuff, but we'll give it a pass here. Order, move an enemy unit to the other row. And Devotion, gain vitality 5 instead. Okay, so baseline, it's 7 value over 3 turns, and you get the order to move something. That's pretty fair, I'd say. Karak, what's the Karak Guard? Is it just Karak City Guard? Has a pretty similar value if you wait a couple turns and use the order, which makes this kind of balance, the same level. And the vitality of 5 instead of 3 isn't too much of a too big a deal, right? It plays for a 9 for 5, but takes 5 turns to get there. It's really slow. And then you still have the order, so in that case, I think this is pretty reasonable, actually. I think this is probably solid. It is also worth noting that pretty much all of Scoia'tael's movement, although it has a lot of movement, most of its movement, other than like Guerrilla Tactics Leader, is on deploy. So having something with order movement is actually really nice. So this, I think, is actually like a good card as well. Let's see what they have to say about it. So Elven Vanguard supports Scoia'tael's strategy of mobility and resilience. The Devotion ability prolongs the vitality effect, enhancing its survivability and pressure over time. Power and provision costs reflect its utility in offensive and defensive plays. And then as far as changes, I think this is like a reasonable analysis. As far as things I had to change, it originally said move the unit to the opposite row. So I asked if the ChatGPT meant from the opponent's side to yours to take control of it, or if they meant from one of the opponent's rows to the other row. And they said the latter. They wanted to move from the opponent's row to the other opponent's row. They just didn't word it like that. Because this was just going to originally seize things. It was just going to move it to the opposite row. This is why for this one I had some clarifications for some of the cards, because I don't think it understood too well some of the mechanics. But that's okay. It would have been really funny if we left it how it was, but we didn't. We asked what to clarify it. So overall, I think this is actually like a solid card, right? It's 7 for 5 with the option to move. If you're playing Vitality, it's 8 for 5. I think this is just, like, pretty good, actually. We haven't had anything crazy yet, which is surprising, but I think this is actually just good. It might be really good, but I don't think it's as good as some of these other cards and excellent. If you watched the previous series, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go check them out. They're kind of interesting. But anyway, next let's go to the Nilfgaard card, which will be our Imperial Strategist. 5 power, 9 provisions. Fun fact, guys, the artwork here, for some reason, well, we'll get there. 5 power, 9 provisions. It's a human aristocrat. Looks like a soldier too, but again, we'll give that a pass. Deploy. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put one on top. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't really do much. Devotion. Draw the chosen card and boost by 3. Well, I mean, looking at the top 3 and drawing one, anything that draws is incredibly broken if there's not some kind of put it back. As we'll see later, ChatGPT is of the opinion that since it's a devotion effect, it can be very strong. So, it didn't hate this idea. It kind of flip-flopped a little bit, but I don't think it really had much. I don't think it even asked it. Actually, this was too much. There's another card where I talked about drawing, so I didn't ask it for this one. But yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit, yeah. So draw the chosen card, boost by 3. Crazy. And then in the grand game of conquest, knowledge is the sharpest blade, I used the flavor text it gave as part of the description for the AI art generation. So it actually generated like a miniature, a painted miniature for a game, which I thought was really neat. I just left that as a picture. It's a miniature. Wish I could paint my miniatures this good. Anyway, as far as its analysis, Imperial Strategist embodies Nilfgaard's theme of deck manipulation and strategic advantage. The devotion ability enhances the card draw mechanic, providing both card advantage and a boost, which can turn the tide in a crucial moment. Actually, it turns the tide every time you play it and wins the game, probably. The card's power and provision cost ensure it remains strong, but balanced choice. Yeah, balanced choice here, ChatGPT. You got that here, everyone. Balanced choice from AI. That's what they think. So I clarified that drawing card is very powerful and is very rare, but devotion cards can have more powerful effects, because I didn't want to try and lead on too much. I didn't like say that they shouldn't do it, and they still wanted to draw the card, so that's what we got. The only question here is this as broken as these guys in the top tier. So what are we moving? We're drawing top 3, put 1 draw. We're drawing a card. Yeah, this is broken. It's these guys are really good too. Like this is just deploy C's, but I think this is a 9 provision card. This can be played in Golden Necker. Yeah, this is in broken beyond belief tier. This card's insane. It's not actually as good as these two, which is funny, but it's still completely broken. We got our first suspicious one here from the AI. Let's go on to the Northern Realms one next. Knight of the White Rose, 6 power, 9 provisions, human soldier, all makes sense. Also, I will note that this AI art got generated here. I wasn't too keen on the art. I just like made it do whatever, as long as it was reasonable. Because that's not really what we're here for. But this looks like suspiciously like a certain fictional character from a certain television series slash book series that I won't name. But it looks very suspiciously like a certain person. Anyway, so human soldier. Order, boost adjacent units by 2. So you play it, wait a turn, order, get +4. That's reasonable. Devotion, boost all allied units by 1. Again, that could be reasonable. That's kind of what Reynard Odo does, right? It boosts everything by 1, which gives grace. So he has devotion instead of grace. And we get to cooldown too. Well, that's something, all right. So he's sworn to protect the realm and his people. His courage shines brighter than his armor. So does his power level here. So here's the thing. It's a cooldown 2 +4, which is the same thing as Foltest's Pride if it's getting the full damage and has the crew. If you think about it, it's the same value as Foltest's Pride. However, if you're playing Devotion, then you're getting all of your units +1 every 2 turns. So if we think about Queen Meve, Queen Meve is well, it has the Inspired, and you know how she works. It's similar to Queen Meve on the Devotion with her Inspired. So, yeah, this is really good. What's the AI have to say about it? So the Knight of the White Rose fits the Northern Realms theme of boosting and protecting allied units. The Devotion ability enhances this by allowing a wider boost effect, which can significantly impact the game. The card's power and provision costs are balanced to make it valuable but not overpowered, in addition to decks focused on boosting tactics. Boosting tactics is a little awkward word choice there. And I didn't give it any additional refinement after the first prompts for this one because it seemed like it knew what it wanted and it was not worded stupidly or anything. So let's go talk about Knight of the White Rose. It's insane if you get its order off. The provision costs are really the ones hurting this. It's 9. Meve's also 9. This should be more than 9. So we're going to put this guy right up in the broken tier. He's too good. Way too good. 6 for 9. Kind of hard to get rid of. You get every other turn you're getting 4 points. Even if you're not in Devotion, this is good. And then you've got this other effect down here. So he's too good. Goes in the broken tier. Let's go on to next. The next one we have is Stormcaller Druid. So he is a human druid, 6 for 10. And he has deploy, spawn, rain on an enemy row for 2 turns. That's not too crazy. That's similar-ish to, what's he called? Falmar. Falmar plays the Tears of the Siren, which gives you 2 turns of rain and the spawns the little siren opposite. It's kind of similar to that. He has order, boost an allied unit by 2. That's a little random, but whatever. And Devotion spawns Storm on an enemy row for 2 turns instead of rain. That's actually really good. Spawning Storm's really strong. Fulmar does it. You can play Skellige Storm. I have played Skellige Storm. It's interesting. Very meta dependent. But yeah, Spawning Storm's really good. Especially when it comes to the 6-power body, it can boost by 2. So you really have 8 points. It plays for 8 on deploy, because you have the 2 rain damage theoretically. Then next turn you have 2 more. So he plays for 8. And then if you're getting rain, he plays for 12, which is probably good enough, maybe, to see play in some rain decks. But if you've Devotion, you're playing Storm, it's extremely strong. However, you have to play Devotion. And as with all these, they can be a little stronger than regular cards. Obviously, some of these are not a little stronger, they're way stronger. But as far as Stormcaller Druid, let's see, so he has the Seas, Fury answers their call, a Tempest none can withstand. And what do we have to say about it, ChatGPT? So, Stormcaller Druid leverages Skellige's affinity for rain and storm effects. The rain ability adds consistent damage to enemy rows, while the Devotion bonus replaces rain with a more powerful storm. Yep. The Order ability provides additional support through boosting. The card's power is balanced to ensure its high-impact abilities are not overpowered. So, this is my notes again. It originally spawned Cataclysm 2 or Cataclysm 3 if Devotion, but the reasoning that it gave said it wanted to synergize with Skellige's affinity for weather effects. So I clarified that although Skellige can use Cataclysm, was more known for rain, and Cataclysm might not be considered a weather effect. And I gave it the option whether it wanted to change the card or not, and how it wanted to change it. And it just came back with the current form we had, got rid of Cataclysm for rain and storm, which actually I thought was how it makes a lot of sense. I didn't prompt it to do that. I just said that it was more known for rain. So I'm really glad I came to that conclusion. But overall, this card is really good. It's really good in Devotion Rain. Problem with that is you give up on some of the better cards in Rain, like your consistency cards. You give up on your Operator if you want the extra Messenger from Sea. You give up on Megascopes, you can play a Megascope version. And you're missing out on some stuff. However, I think that if you're just going to play... I don't think you should just play a pure Devotion deck like Raid Warriors. I don't think you can fit it. However, some of the decks this might make sense in. Let's go drop Stormcaller Druid here in the... I think he will fit in the excellent tier. I don't think he's broken, but specifically for Rain, he's incredibly strong. Although Rain's not the best deck. So, we'll just put him in there for now. Let's go on to... he's an interesting one. Let's go on to the Syndicate. So we've Underworld Kingpin. He's a 6-power, 10-version human for Syndicate. He's just a human. And let's see what we've got here. So Profit 4. That's his value right there. 10 for 10, basically, approximately. And then he has Fee 3. Damage enemy unit by 2. Okay, so that's not the best fee, but does do damage, which is nice. And Devotion. Gain a coin whenever you use a fee. So essentially his fee is 2 for 2, right? You do 3, do 2 damage, get a coin back. It's how it works. I asked specifically. We'll get to that in a second. So in the shadows, power is the currency, and he's the richest of them all. All right, so I think most of you will now see the problem with his devotion effect very quickly. Let's just take Bare Knuckle Brawler. Let's say I spend 1 coin on a 1-cost fee, fee 1. I get 1 coin back. Oh, look, that's an infinite loop. Yeah, this is broken. This is ridiculously broken. Let's go see the second page. So, Underworld Kingpin supports the Syndicate's economy and damage mechanics. That is what they want to do, economy and damage. The Devotion ability enhances the faction's unique coin-based system, enhancing or replacing it with the most broken card ever, we'll see. Rewarding players for sticking to faction-specific cards. The powered provision costs reflect its utility in generating profit and dealing damage. The powered provision costs, in that it's a 6 for 10 that gives you 4 coins, and then does all of its other stuff. So, this is my notes again. This is the one I spent the longest time on, trying to get ChatGPT to think about it. So, after numerous attempts to bring up the possibility of infinite loops, like, even if you just have a... Let's just take the 1-for-1 spend. Let's just take, like, let's just take Scoia'tael. You can just Scoia'tael. You just get as many points as you can APM through the button. Well, that's not a good example. It's a feat too. The street urchins, the 1-for-1. You just get infinite points as fast as you click the button. So anyway, I tried to bring this up. I mentioned specifically that it could trigger, that we could adjust it by giving it a cap on times per turn it can trigger, so like 3 times per turn or something. Or it could have to be a minimum fee 2 to work on it. So if you spent a fee 1 card, you won't get a coin back. And it was very clear about this. I was very clear communicating this. It said they were all good options to limit the card, and then I asked it to take this into account and make adjustments, and it decided that it would make it a fee 3 instead of fee 2. And that was its conclusion. I spent the longest time on this one trying to get it to do it. I really tried to do as much as I could without directly ordering it to change the devotion effect, but it thinks this is balanced. So even though I went through it step by step, right? Spend 2, do the 2 damage, get 1 back. If you spend 1, you get 1 back and make it infinite. We went through this, and it just decided that this is what it wants. So, this is what we got. And there's not really much discussion here. This is an infinite loop with 1 card stuck up here in the Broken Beyond Belief tier. This actually might be the best card, the most broken card of all of them, which is amazing considering the Arcane Scribes and Sages. I mean... It's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I think I have that open here for a second. No, we don't. We have the next one. So, we don't have that open. But yeah, this is ridiculous. Let's just move on before our brain gets fried by this thing. So now we'll go on to Wandering Sage. This is the last one. This is the neutral one. There are no neutral devotion cards at the moment, but I don't see a reason why there theoretically couldn't be one, which I thought Renfrew might be when she was first announced, but oh well. So we have Wandering Sage, 6 power, 10 provision, and for the record, ChatGPT has a very poor track record with the neutral cards. They so far have all been in Broken Beyond Belief tier. They've all been there. So let's see if this one changes it. So we have 6 for 10 Human Mage. Okay, that's fine. We have gain 2 random beneficial effects. Devotion, gain 3 random beneficial effects instead. That tells me so much information. So, it's flavor text is knowledge knows no boundaries and wisdom walks a solitary path. Sure. Now, I did manage to get ChatGPT to give me the list of random effects. So we'll go through those. Just know you're getting 2. If you're in Devotion, only neutrals, then you get 3. So let's take a look. I'd make a whole separate one for this one. Here is the list. We've got boost a random allied unit by 2. It's fairly small impact. Boost all allied units in a row by 1. That's pretty reasonable, actually, I think. Boost a random allied unit by its base power. Okay, then. That depends on your deck. That could be really good in relics. Could be really bad in something that makes a lot of tokens. But also, like, that's not too bad. The problem is you could, like, high roll that one and hit, like, theoretically, you could hit, like, a Morvid and get, like, plus 17 or something. But it could also hit itself and just get plus 6 on that one. That one's a pretty high roll. Damage a random enemy unit by 2, like, that's pretty low impact. Move an enemy unit to a random row. Oh, okay, we're playing some shoop here. However, it's only moving an enemy unit, so you can't low roll this and move your own guy. That's completely ridiculous. Just move an enemy unit to a random row? Ridiculous. Lock a random enemy unit. That's, like, fine. I think that's, like, a probably reasonable effect. Spawn a random bronze unit from your deck. This could be engineered. Like, you could build a deck with this in mind. Like, if you just play big bronzes and it spawns one, that could be pretty interesting, actually. Draw a card. Well, that's broken. And for the record, I asked, and you can get each effect more than once. Like, you don't get one of, like, if you get boost a random unit by 2, you could get that twice. So you could theoretically draw a card 3 times. You could also just not draw any cards. So let's see, that one's ridiculous. Then we have gain 2 coins, which is just nothing, unless you're in Syndicate. Then we have spawn rain on a random row for 2 turns, spawn fog on a random row for 2 turns, and spawn frost on a random row for 2 turns. Now, it doesn't say enemy row here, but I asked and it means enemy row. I just forgot to update it. But yeah, it means enemy row, because they are beneficial effects as specified earlier. And then we have create and play a random bronze special card. That's actually not too bad. That's still interesting. And then we have choose a unit in your hand, boost by 4. Also, that's kind of interesting. So, on the whole, we have 3 low roll abilities, right? The boost by 2, damage by 2, and the 2 coins, which are usually like probably the worst ones to get. Those are pretty low roll. We have, for high roll blowouts, we have the draw card and the move an enemy unit are completely high roll blowouts. If you get those, you probably win the game. And then the other ones are all really good. So what do we think about Wandering Sage? Well, before we decide on analysis, let's take a look at what the ChatGPT had to say. The Wandering Sage fits the neutral faction's versatile and flexible nature. The devotion ability enhances the randomness and potential of the beneficial effects. Yes, enhancing randomness. Well known to be my favorite thing. It rewards players who commit to an all-neutral deck. That is true. Gives you an extra random effect. Card's power and provision costs reflect its high potential impact. Yeah, it's got some of that. And the risk-reward balance using a neutral-only deck. Alright, this is what I said. I think I talked about most of this already. Originally, it didn't have a list of effects. I made it come up with a list and then refine it based on things I said would be fair and could be used in an all-neutral deck. This one took the second most time after the last one. And the ChatGPT acknowledged that only Syndicate can use coins, which is very clear. We had a couple messages about that. And then it decided it still wanted that as an option because Syndicate could use it. And then it said that coins could be played by any faction, which is just wrong. So, I don't know. It just wants the coins as a choice. And then it went back and forth on the card draw one. It acknowledged how much of a high roll that one was, although it didn't acknowledge that for the move to the other row one. But it might have meant move to the other row like it did for the Vanguard instead of like seizing it type of thing, but I didn't ask this time. And then it went back and forth on the card draw, seeing how much high roll it was. I left it since I started to feel like I was telling it what to do rather than asking what it wanted. So let's see what we got. So as far as this thing, this card it's at least broken. 2 random effects where the low roll is 4 coins. It's pretty bad. But if anything except this one, it's really good, right? Like this is almost everything's worth 4 points. This is worth 2. This is worth 2. This is probably worth like 4, 2 to 4. Boost by base power is worth at least 4, and then move an enemy unit to a random row. It could be worth like, it's worth at least 4 probably. If you average, it's worth an average probably 4 versus you taking it versus you just move it to the other row, just like a move effect. You could high roll this one. Locks probably not going to do too much tempo wise, but could be good. Brain of Bronze is probably worth around 4 if you're just spawning it with no deploys. That's 4. That's 4. That's 4. Like they're mostly worth 4, so you're probably getting 14 for 10. Or 18 for 10 if you're playing this just in Devotion, 18 for 10. I think this is really good. The only thing that doesn't make this completely broken is you're not choosing the effects. They're all random. However, we have, what, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 effects here? We have 14 and you get 3, so there's like a 35-ish% chance you get the draw card and you see 3 of them. There's a 35%-ish chance you get one of the high rolls, right? You get draw a card. All right, let's think about this. So, on the face of it, you can expect to get in neutral. We're gonna go with Devotion here. You can expect to get about 18 for 10 on this. That is really good, but keep in mind it's a Devotion card for neutral. However, the high rolls make me kind of want to hate it. However, to be fair, the only one that's completely blowing out automatically is the draw card. You get 3 chances out, 3 chances at, and then you've got the other one, the high roll potential and move the enemy unit, which could give you nothing, or it could just break a roll lock, or it could just take the unit. So, I really want to throw the Wandering Sage in Broken Beyond Belief with the other sages, but I don't quite think it's there, actually. I don't actually think he's there. I think we'll put him in the broken tier, actually. We'll just put him in the front, because he kind of matches art-wise with these guys. So that is it. We have 7 new cards added to the AI tier list. If you guys hadn't seen the old one, go check it out. These Devotion ones, we started off really well. We had a couple just solid good cards. Then we went a little off the rails with the power level and started throwing things all over these top broken tiers. And yeah, I tried to make ChatGPT a little more reasonable, made it talk to it, gave it some context this time, and then asked it more questions. But if it wanted to make something how it wanted to make it, for example, it really just did not want to change the whatever his name is, the Kingpin. It really just didn't want to change that. So that's what we got. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. This was pretty fun as always. And again, thanks for suggesting the Devotion cards. That was a fun one. If you guys have any other suggestions for what cards you want to see next, it'll probably be a little bit, again, I don't want to do 2 mains at once. It takes a lot of effort. But if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And hopefully you enjoyed. That'll be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And you can check out some more videos over here. And thanks for watching.